Well, what an afternoon that were then. Wednesday 2, Ipswich 2. Bad start to the afternoon, well, before kick-off really, when it was announced that Mark McGuinness has picked up an injury and he's going to be out for 3 or 4 weeks. I mean, we'd already resigned a sense that we were going to lose him for the Wycombe game with international duty, but now the curse has struck and one of our most consistent performers looks like being out for the best part of a month. So that was a real blow before kick-off, and obviously affected what Wednesday we're going to be able to do in terms of picking the team for today. But we did manage to put a side out, and here's what it was. Stockdale in goal. Back three. Dominic Iorfa recalled back into the side. Michael Ehekwe continuing in the middle. Rhys James coming in as left side centre half. Midfield, Liam Palmer on the right hand side, as we just said, Marvin Johnson on the left. A midfield two of Byers and Bannon. Michael Smith at centre forward, and then Deli Bashiro and Josh Windass in sort of supporting roles, playing off of Smith there. In wide areas when we attacked and dropping into deeper midfield areas when we lost the ball. So that was the Wednesday lineup. Ipswich had a blow themselves because before kick-off, Cameron Burgess, who's their left-sided centre-half, he'd picked up an injury in the Bristol Rovers game and he's also going to be out and missing today's game. He's picked up a facial injury, a fractured face apparently. It sounds a pretty nasty one. So they also made some changes. This was the Ipswich team. So Edmondson came in at the back for Burgess and the left side of their three. Midfield unchanged, Burns, Evans, Morsey and Davies. Chaplin continued, but they did make a couple of little changes up front. John Jules got a start and Jackson moved to sort of the left of the front three, where he would up against Dominic Iorfa, which turned into one of the key battles of the afternoon. Two really pacey players out there on that flank. Right, the game. You know, the afternoon's entertainment started just before kick-off when there was a impeccably observed 1 minute silence in honour of Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II, which was signalled with the whistle of the referee Peter Wright. And Peter Wright's whistle and lack of whistle actually ended up being one of the main talking points of the day, sadly. Actually, loads of action in first minute. Wednesday really going for it, very direct by our usual standards, you know. We had the ball in the box a couple of times here, trying to get Smith on the end of things. First shot of the game, though, is Morsey after 58, 59 seconds. And Rhys James did really well and got a block in there. He's actually had a very good afternoon, Rhys James, I thought. But straight away, two teams obviously are going to have a right old go at it. 2 minutes in there, keeper Walton's come out at box, made an half clearance, and Barry Bannon's just took it down on chest. And it's a 40-yarder which bounced just short at line and up over bar. And had that gone in, could have been a very different afternoon, but frenetic first 2 or 3 minutes. Well, I'm saying it's a frenetic first 2 or 3 minutes. It don't get much better in fourth because they score. Interesting goal. Poor defending from Wednesday through middle. Nobody really gets a challenge in. And then I think it might be Byers actually does get back and gets a foot in. But unfortunately, because it comes off him, it slips Jackson away and therefore he's not offside. So that was one of the things about it. We did open like the Red Sea. But we opened like the Red Sea. The beginning of the move, the ball actually went out of play on the near touchline by nearly a foot. And neither the referee or the linesman decided that was a throw-in. A positive start from Wednesday actually, and did a goal down, but first 10 minutes it's a positive start and they're really trying to get ball forward quickly. We're trying to close them down. But Delbishiro, Windass and Smith trying to get into Ipswich because they're doing our trick, you know, their keepers rolling it out from back and all that game. So apart from being a goal down, it started from a move that ball went out of play. Positive start from Wednesday, that first 10 minutes or so. Bit more direct than usual, but didn't mind that. At 12-15 minutes, there's a ball up to front, and There's nobody else within 20 yards. It's just Smith and a lad called Wolfenden. And we absolutely no attempt to get ball. Wolfenden, I mean, Christ, if he'd had his shorts down, I'd have thought he were trying to shag him up arse. Absolutely zero attempt. No to do with ball. Just arms round him. You know, what did Shakespeare say? Making the beast with two backs. I don't... Note from referee. Note. Wednesday having a little bit of a spell actually this first opening 10-20 minute, and Bannon and Derbyshire will link really well down the right side. Derbyshire flashes one across box, Smith's in there, and there's a cluster of bodies. He's a fraction away from getting his foot on it. In fact, he wouldn't have even had to have guided it. He'd probably just hit him and gone in it. You know, it was that close to goal line. And Wednesday's having a little spell, but then Donasian went down. He were down for 4 or 5 minutes there, before making a remarkable recovery. What a surprise! This frustration starting to come in now 20 minutes into the game. Wednesday fans are getting restless, which is a shame because their manager said that that's what they were going to bank on in the week. He actually said that in his pre-match on Thursday. Oh, the Wednesday crowd, if things aren't going away, they soon turn and we can use that to our advantage, you know. And we sort of fell for that, hook, line and sinker. Donasian's gone down, their keeper's slow timing a bit, and it's took a bit of rhythm out at Wednesday's opening stages. And then referees walking around with his eyes painted on, and the game started getting a bit scrappy then into that middle sort of portion at first half, and then towards end at first half, I would say the last 15-20 at first half, then Ipswich started having a spell. Morsey falls over and Bannon comes away with ball, and then referee gives a free kick. It goes from blowing for absolutely nothing to blowing for absolutely everything. And listen, not just against Wednesday, by the way, although he's had an absolute nightmare on our behalf, but them and all, just absolutely no control of the game. And this is one of the biggest games in division. In fact, look at attendances today, it's probably been one of the biggest games in country, even though it isn't third division. Don't care what anybody says. And to have that standard of officiating, and that line on far side, on north. Talk about football, forget about them. Right, Wednesday are playing this sort of 3-4-3, matching them up, and it's quite an interesting battle. Both teams are, having these little spells. Wednesday had a spell for 10-15 minutes, then it went scrappy, and then Ipswich had a 15-minute spell. And they were evenly matched. There were bits of space all over the park. They got a lad called Jackson at left, really lively, loads of pace, and they were looking to get him away a lot with a diagonal ball. Wednesday were more direct than I've seen for a long time. We're looking to get Smith at every opportunity, and quite a few times Derbyshire made a sort of curving run out towards corner flag, and we've looked to try and flip it in behind him. Didn't always do anything with it, but a definite plan to be a bit more direct from Wednesday, which is why it's frustrating that last sort of 10-15 minutes at half, when Wednesday, when crowds getting more frustrated with referee and Ipswich having a spell, that Wednesday then start with that fanning about at back that we do. Now, I know we're trying to play football, this or other, but Stockdale's seen a hell of a lot of the ball, and it's uncomfortable possession. Nobody minds possession, but it was uncomfortable possession, and it's one or two groans, over the top in my opinion, some of it, but there's a little bit of panic stations at back there. Wednesday they are morphing, the formation is morphing, so it's the 3-4-3, but when we lose possession, there's a definite plan. It's similar to what we saw the other night, away at Morecambe, but obviously with different personnel, and very much Johnson were coming back into a sort of left back position. James was shuttling across, and Johnson, James, Hekwe and Iorfa were sort of making a four when we lost possession of the ball. and then it was like a 3 and a 3 in front of that. So definitely that's something they must have been working on, but predominantly, especially when we had the ball, it was a 3. And I thought James brought a lovely balance to that, actually. I thought he had a real good game today. I thought he used the ball really well. There's a double foul in Middle Park, 4 seconds apart. Morsey goes through Bannon, takes him out. Then Evans goes through Byers, all within 5 seconds. Referee, keep going. Well, you can't get going if you haven't got fucking ball, have you? Because you're lying on the floor. Prick. Get away with one a bit. Midfield opens up again. Again, we've got Byers and Bannon in there. 2 great players, but it is that too. Morsey just manages to evade and he makes a sort of blind run in there. They put across it, pops back and he flashes like a 30-yarder just wide. And they're just coming into it towards half time, and I did think they might nick a second before break because Wednesday were just having that little bit of a wobble spell. Do you know what I mean? This is at referee again. Ipswich break. It's the lad Jackson. Great pace. Gets down the outside. Puts a fantastic cross into the box. Plays it in there. It just evades everybody though. Nobody's really gambled on it. It evades everybody. And referee blows and gives Wednesday a free kick. Nobody's gone up for it from either side. It's just evaded them all. It's not offside, but it gives Wednesday a free kick. No idea what for. No idea what for. And they're professional now and all, aren't they? There's a bit of a vibe at half time. It's not very. Obviously, everyone's talking about referee and linesman. Oh, shocking. And obviously, there's a bit of a disconsolate attitude because Wednesday are 1-0 down, and I think a lot of people had built it up this game that we'd got to win this game to prove our credentials this season. But I think in a way we have. We've come back from 2-0 down, got a point against a form team in the division, a team who were unbeaten, who this season played 4 games away from home and won 4 games away from home, only conceded 1 goal, so we've bettered everyone else who've played away from home so far with that. 18 clean sheets he's have kept, by the way, since that McKenna went there. 34 games in charge, 18 clean sheets. That's some going. These aren't a bad outfit at all. So to come back and get a point, 2-2, I think that's a really good result for Wednesday. I do, honestly. And it's just a shame. I think there's a negativity that's always going to probably surround this game now. When actually I think we've showed some balls today. I think we've showed a bit of mettle. And although we haven't won, I think we've showed the right character. And it's just a shame that that's sort of been overshadowed because of the performance of the officials, and probably because we went a goal down and it put everybody in a stinking mood from off. But overall, I think that's going to be seen as a really good point gain. I'm going to be talking about second half. Well, second half, they take the centre, knock it right out to the left wing, gets headed back. Their play takes a really bad touch, goes out of play, and referee gives them throw. Windass breaks on inside channel, just going towards Cop there. He's sort of inside right position. Gets tripped over by Evans. Ball breaks out. Morsey sets off. Byers tracks him. Morsey falls over. Free kick. I'm just going to look like I'm being a right mardy arse. I'm not mardy arsing because the referee, he didn't score an own goal, did he? The referee don't insist that we try and play out front back and put us under pressure. But I think he's ruined what was a keen contest between two teams having a go at it. And like I said, it weren't a great football spectacle, but I still thought it was an exciting game. There was still plenty going on, and but it's just a shame that too much of it were chaos that was surrounding that clown. Scrappy start to second half. There's a lot of passes getting cut out. Both teams are having a bit of a go at it, and it's getting a little bit fractious in there because he's got no control of the game. But then Ipswich start growing into it. Wednesday is still in scrappy mode, where Ipswich are just starting to find that little bit of rhythm, and they then have like a 5-10 minute spell when they're really sort of playing some good stuff, and that's when they get their goal. Ironically, it comes off from a Wednesday attack. We have a move down the left hand side. James works it back. Heckwood brings it across. Byers keeps it going, and Iofa makes a run down the right hand side. There's a sort of body check with airplay. It's not a foul, but it is a free kick. And the ref, the liner flags for the free kick, and this is all in a split second. As it's committed, the ball pops out to Windass and he just flicks it into the box. There's not 1 second has passed between the foul and him doing that. They get possession of the ball in the box, and then the referee signals for play on advantage. Don't signal it straight away. When Iofa goes down, don't signal advantage then. Even when Windass has got the ball, it's a split second, and he actually waits, and it's only when their centre half's got ball he's like, yep, play on. Well, then they go down for the end and score from it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's absolutely terrible defending from Wednesday. James and Johnson are out there. It's a 2v2. They can both go out and get tighter to men, but because they stand in, they just sort of in an half and half position. You then get the third man run around the outside, and then Johnson don't know whether to go it running or good at man with ball. James don't want to leave his man inside, so there's absolutely zero pressure. Lad has 3 touches before he puts crossing. It's not a great cross, but it dips off at first man, and I think it actually unsights Iofa. He's going to take a load of sticks. It's hit his foot and gone it back at net, but there's no pressure on cross. That's the bit that upsets me. On goal's on goal. If a ball comes flashing in and you miss it and it goes in, yes, it's bad, but when ball's in front of you and you're out in full-back position, you can see exactly what's going on. You've got to put more pressure on ball for me. So they're 2-0 up, and the atmosphere is really glum. Everybody's down, and you think, here we go. And I can almost hear the naysayers ready to, sharpening the scribes, ready to destroy the team. But actually, the referee's complete incompetency actually seems to fire Wednesday's players up, and it actually gets the crowd going. There's a delay after goal because somebody's chucked something at a liner. Now, these were terrible. They were terrible officials. And listen, there'll be an assessor sitting back at stand here. He'll be marked down for that. They'll all be marked down for that. They're probably going to find themselves in League 2 next week, or conference or whatever they call it these days, because that was just a shocking performance all ends up. I would say the liner up front at South was probably the least worst out of the 3, but they've all had an absolute nightmare. But the process is they will get marked down for it. And like I said, they'll get dropped down for it. Folks can't take matters into their own hands and be chucking stuff. I mean, they've had a nightmare, but they are human beings at the end of the day. And I don't want to sound like a school head teacher. You're chucking stuff. Somebody could lose an eye, genuinely, or suffer a serious injury. And not just person you're aiming it for and all, because let's be honest, after 10 pints, you're probably not that good an aim. Just quite as easily, it's somebody, another supporter on the back of your head, or a kid, or an old woman. But scream at them, shout at them, make life very uncomfortable for them, yeah. Chucking stuff at them, no place for me, I'm afraid. No place. Anyway, so there's this big delay, and during the delay, George Byers is getting very heated because players are just stood around while referees making it known to club officials what's going on, and he's staring at liner and ref. He's got that General Zod looking eyes, and it can be used as a fuel when these things are going against you, like the decision for their second goal or whatever, or when you get hacked and then the man who's hacked you then falls over and gets free kick, even though the only foul's been on it. It infuriates you, but it can lift you to an extra level. That sense of injustice, it can be a fuel for you. I mean, look at Ferguson at Old Trafford. He ran on a sense of injustice for 20 odd years. I don't know why. He was the biggest club in the world and they got every bloody decision going. But he'd always garnered that atmosphere, hadn't he, in his teams. Oh, everyone's against us, world's against us. Injustice, everything was an injustice. There were never enough added time, blah, blah, blah. So it can be used as a fuel. And in terms of the Wednesday players, I think it was. You could see that injustice. Bannon suddenly is running around like Tasmanian devil. Byers the same. Absolute running around like a pair of lunatics at end, and it is that sense of injustice, and it fired them up, and it also fired the crowd up a little bit. 99% of the crowd in the right way by suddenly getting behind the team, booing everything that the liner and the referee do and the opposition do, and it made it that sort of an energy. It created an energy, that sort of atmosphere, and like I said, 99% of people were going about it in the right way, and it fueled Wednesday on to pull a goal back. Lovely routine, by the way. Bannon, little drag back corner that they were half asleep. Lovely clip ball in from Marvin Johnson, and Byers is there, guides it home at back stick, and suddenly they're wobbling. Burns chucks himself in, very, very silly foul to give away from their point of view when there were no need. He could have probably guided it out. And they're wobbling a little bit. Wednesday's still being direct, and why not? Gregory came on. Wednesday had a slight shuffle round. Martin sort of came onto the right hand side. Gregory went up front with Smith, and then Windass was sort of offered this free roll that we saw him playing for large spells on Wednesday night. They also made some changes. Harness came on for them, as you remember. I talked about in preview, the ex-Portsmouth lad. The creative player at Portsmouth, getting forward, assists, goals, spraying the ball about. Just a nigger little twat today. I mean, he come on and actually counted, because I'm that sort of person. 4 fouls in 2 minutes and 30 seconds he committed. Not just fouls according to me, I mean ones where whistle's actually gone and, yeah, you've pulled his shirt, you've hacked him now. 4 in 2.5 minutes. None of them got a booking. He did eventually get booked for the 7th foul that he committed. Wednesday were getting back in the game. They were wobbling a little bit, Ipswich. I think the other thing that helped Wednesday get back in the game was not just that sense of injustice with a complete clown of a referee, but they'd made a change. They brought Keogh on centre half. How old's he now? I hated him when he was at Derby. He come on. In fact, he went through Kieran Lee on one of his comeback games, a wanker. But he come on, and that Donasian moved out to a sort of right wing-back spot where he kept getting caught up pitch, and it was just allowing Johnson and James to get probably more space down that left-hand side they'd done in previous 85 minute, and they weren't always getting out to him, so no surprise really when we got that equaliser down that side, and it was James and Bannon, cute little 1-2, ball into the box, and Michael Smith got up there. No particular challenge from Ipswich, they'll be disappointed with that. And I'd have to see it again from a different angle. Obviously you've just got the one view of it at the time, but I thought he was offside. Obviously absolute scenes, because a last minute equaliser, it's more or less like a last minute winner. It felt like a win. When that goes in, it feels like a win at that stage of it, after 90 odd minutes before it. And for Ipswich fans, even though they've got a point out of the game, it'll have felt like a defeat to them happening so late. But I think it just summed up these officials. I thought it was offside, and him and Liner with ice painting on. it's just a shame because, like I said, it weren't a great game of football. It wasn't an aesthetically pleasing game of football. That's probably the best way to put it. But as a contest, keenly fought, two teams having a go at it, lots of tackles going in, lots of crosses going in, 4 goals. I mean, really, it got everything, hadn't it? But it's just been overshadowed with that Mickey Mouse performance from officials and unsavoury scenes with stuff getting chucked on pitch. And I just hope that Wednesday don't end up getting any sanctions with that. I mean, I don't want to go down the route that, paranoid conspiracy theorists, but EFL aren't our biggest fans. They were after Chansiri we spending for 3 years and they were looking at every opportunity to look at us. I even think back to that Forestieri thing. It don't take much, so stuff like this don't get EFL any encouragement to come after this, and stuff like that, I'm afraid it does. We don't do ourselves any favour with all like that, and as I said, as much as out, I'll just chuck a quid, Could it like a 5 or 6 year old kid on back your head? No. So that's, I don't know why I'm bothered about that, but that's overshadowed it a bit for me. Excuse me. And what really we should be celebrating as a great point, because 2-0 down, come from behind, showed real balls, mettle, resolve, drive to get back at them, keep pushing. Weren't a vintage display from us. I'm sure they'll probably say the same about them. Exciting game of football. Point. I'd have probably took a point before the game. After being 2-0 down, I'd have definitely took a point. And I think that's a good result. I think that'll stand us in good stead, showing that spirit to get that fight back. It's just a shame that really the day has just been overshadowed with that refereeing performance, because I thought two good teams having a bit of a tussle out there, the knees. Well, shocking. One of my mates messaged me, he said, he's the worst I've ever seen in my entire life, and I was like, is he worse than that one against Villa that time, that Swarbrick? And it's like, yeah, well, Swarbrick were just bent, weren't they? This one's just shit. It's like, which is worse, shit or bent? It's, you don't know, do you? Debate for another day. But overall, pleased with a point. Very pleased with a point.